Okay, here we go. We're going to make Steamy Beany Sausages, I think they're called. They're an Ice's book. Isa does it. So, I'm very fortunate. I have an electric steamer. Easy. Turns itself off. So much easier than making broiled Seitan, where you're running down and making sure the the stove's not going too fast and it's bubbling over and turning into gooey plastic stuff. So number one, much preferred to this than when I make steak Seitan, which is beautiful but more difficult. Then we have our gluten flour from Gaganis Brothers here in South Australia, about $6 or $7 for the kilo, and it lasts a long time for each recipe. I've got to say, it does probably get four batches of Seitan product out of it, maybe even 5, depending if you're going to use your beans or chickpeas and other things that you can put in them. And then of course you're not using as much flour. You need your trusty Ninja or a food processor to break all the beans up and the nutritional yeast, because you've got to process that and make it small. The one thing I cannot do in my Ninja, and I cannot find powdered fennel seeds, is I have to get a mortar and pestle and get the big fennel seeds and crush it down. But you need it for the flavour. Plain old olive oil and just ordinary pepper, which I don't use a lot of, smoky paprika, some thyme. All of the recipes ask for powdered garlic. I don't. I use just a tiny bit of minced garlic, not even 1/3 of a teaspoon, not that much. It would be up to you. My Marcel stock powder, which of course is vegan. I use a fair bit of that. I would prefer to use a little bit more stock powder and cut down on the amount of salt. And also, when they ask for soy sauce, I've tried different soy sauces. This sweet soy sauce, the ketchup mayonnaise, is probably the best. I find that even if I put that when I'm broiling things, we get a Vegemite flavour. With the ketchup mayonnaise, that doesn't happen. I think I've covered it all. Measuring cups, little teaspoons for everything, and of course your alfoil to wrap your sausages in. Okay, I'll get everything organised and then show you how to put it together. Get down. Oh, the noise in the background, we thought we'd just better tell you, is our little dog, Sabbath, named after Black Sabbath. How can I say we really don't worship the evil people or anything like that? I think it's quite interesting that this is Seitan and it's cruelty free, and I love it. So, but we did call her Sabbath after Black Sabbath because she was black and no one wanted her. And you know, the thing with black dogs, we have another black dog, he's not in here, he would just have demolished this by now and there would be no food left. Anyway, that's a bit of explanation. Sabbath is now sitting down. Whether she'll stay that way or not, we'll see. So first, turn your steamer on. 40 minutes it's to cook, but I want it to boil. So I put on for 50 minutes, 10 minutes to get it nice and steamy. Okay, now I'm going to read the recipe. 1/2 cup of cooked pinto beans. Well, they're an alternative to pinto beans. And it actually says to put them in the order that they're written down. So the next item to be in here would be 1 cup of vegetable broth. So I'm not using too many spoons. I'll show you how much vegetable broth or Marcel stock. And it's not vegetable, I think this one's beef. And I've got a chicken one. I don't know. Once again, the vegetable one, Vegemite. I hate Vegemite. I just don't want all of my savoury food to taste like Vegemite. So this is an exact teaspoon, although it's not a measuring spoon. So I would put probably 1 level teaspoon of stock into 1 cup of water and give it a good stir. There we go. Very nice. Now, first it started off with the pinto beans, or what are they called? Annalise beans or something? We just found these worked. like years ago. These work like pinto beans, or it might have been an alternative we were given. I buy canned beans. I find dried beans, like the beans you buy that are dried and everything. They're fine. It's just you've got to rinse them, soak them overnight, and then boil them. I don't know. Maybe I just like a bit slack. So I just don't see why I should go to all that trouble when I can buy a can of beans for $1. And sometimes things are difficult to buy. Now, can you see the consistency of that? Honestly, but that's fine. It leaves it a bit grainy at the end. None of us mind that. If you've got a better food processor, if you can get rid of all of that, you will find it's like slightly husky tasting, I suppose. Well, not tasting, but you can, you know, but we all quite like that. It's a sort of different flavour. Not different flavour, but a different texture. I'm not going to liken it to anything you'd probably, it doesn't. It's not like meat. Like when I make the Seitan steak, it's probably got more of a texture of meat, what you'd think of meat. But this isn't, so maybe that's why we like it. That's probably why we prefer it. Anything that's sort of too meat tasting, we tend to avoid. Right, now our 1 cup of vegetable broth. Well, it's not vegetable. Explain that. It's beef. Because what the hell? Vegemite everything is not good. Vegemite and fake cheese, that's great. Vegemite and everything else is not good. Not always. Okay, what's next? 1 tablespoon of olive oil. So that's easy. This is a proper measure too. This was my grandma's tablespoon. I don't know. She was a beautiful cook. She cooked for shearers. I know that sounds all wrong and everything now, but you know, it just takes me back to how I started off and how far I've come. Two tablespoons of soy sauce. It's actually funny, I know a lot of you people wouldn't know this, but I've spoken to a lot of old-time farmers. They hate live exports. They hate it. They hate what's happening to farming. They used to have some pride. Now it's all about money. They don't understand that people that work on the land now. I'm not saying it's a good excuse to eat meat. I'm just saying that they didn't, you know, they didn't ever treat their animals badly. I used to stay with people like that sometimes. The amount of trouble they'd go to for the comfort of their animals always shocked me. Well, not shocked me, but it was a lot. They cared. They don't now. Well, they would say that. Anyway, 1 1/4 cups of gluten flour. So that's 1. At the end, I'm going to show you how moist you want it. This is, oh wait a minute, it's supposed to be 1/4. This is why I'm making this, because it's all about experience a bit too. Don't ask me why, but sometimes it can come out too wet and you need to add a bit more of this, or sometimes it can be too dry and you'll need something else. So, what's next? 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. Okay. So this is from the yeast flakes over here. And I've put it in the Ninja. I'm going to have 1/4 cup of that.
So you need to make it into a powder?
Yep, process it into a powder like that. I've never just used it. It always says just to do that. So that's what I've always done. I can't tell you what it's like if you can't, you know, if you haven't got a food processor.
You've got flour on your jumper now.
My Hail Seitan jumper.
I'll give a picture of it. Hail Satan! Yay!
Hail Satan, but I am the Queen of Seitan.
You're the Queen of Seitan.
Yes. So the next thing is 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic. So 1 teaspoon. This is not granulated garlic. I don't know how that works, quite honestly, because you have all those little granules and you've got to get it through everything. I use this much. This is really potent, this minced garlic.
I can smell it. It's delicious.
And not everyone wants to smell like garlic the next day. I could use a bit more, but I don't think so, because that's just good.
I think you should use the whole spoon.
Yes, and your sisters think I shouldn't. So there we go, all in the family. So 1.5 teaspoons of fennel seeds. Okay, I explained the fennel seeds to you. It's
a good thing I got that mortar and pestle.
Yeah. Now this is strong. You know fennel's strong.
Yeah.
Probably 1, just because I want to make some more and I don't want to have to grind up any more fennel seeds. There you go. So I'm just going to do the 1 today.
I can smell it.
It is beautiful. If you like licorice, add all of it. If not, I tend to, cut back a bit on all the things because it can just get too overwhelming.
Makes a very refreshing flavour to Seitan though.
Yeah, but I like lots of different flavours and I love this stuff. I live for smoked paprika. It's beautiful.
Now does the smoked paprika add the smoky flavour so we don't have to put the liquid smoke in to some degree?
Yeah, I reckon that's probably true. Also, why I'd put this in anyway is it's not an overpowering taste and it makes everything that brownish reddish colour,
Oh yeah.
So it gives it a little bit, a little change. There we go.
So was that like 1.5?
No, that was 2, but the first one was a bit higher, so I just cut it back. Sorry, people. I've been doing this for too long. 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. So, 1/2 teaspoon. I'm not measuring out 1/2 teaspoon. I'm going to put my fingers in there and really break it up. Like that. Okay. Freshly ground black, several pinches of freshly ground black pepper. You know what? I don't usually put this in. Wouldn't matter if you left it out, but I'm trying to follow the recipe as much as I can. Probably already laughing at me. Don't tend to follow recipes. I follow them the first couple of times and they turn out really well, and then I don't follow them and they don't turn out so well. And then the kids say to me, you didn't follow the recipe like you promised yourself you would. And I go, well, no I didn't, because I thought it needed. Then I go back and follow the recipe.
The gluten flour is kind of slippery as well, like it tends to puff up, so you've got to sort of be careful or it's going to get dusty everywhere.
Yeah, and stick to everything once it's wet. Hey, your dishcloths usually need to go out after this. I do so much of the cleaning up by hand to try and avoid it, but at the same time, it's rather difficult.
It gets kind of gluey.
It does. See, now that's looking nice, but I've got to say, looks like it needs a little bit more water. I don't know, is that much different from, it's not much different from when I make pastry, is that? Like you sort of go to it yourself. I'll just grab some water. Add things a little bit at a time. So, we're going to start with a tablespoon of water. Oh, that was more than a tablespoon. Okay.
A splash off a tablespoon.
Yeah, that one. I should put some water. Okay, that's looking good. Now, I don't know. What does the recipe say? Does it say I'm supposed to... A lot of these things say to, like, knead it a lot. I don't need any of my Seitan, as little as possible. Some of it I'll let sit and set a bit, but the minute I start kneading it, I feel it falls apart. So now we're going to start. I'll clean some of this stuff up and show you what I do next. Oh, it's down to 40. Oh, see, I took longer because I'm chin wagging. So we want it on, it's 40 minutes. Sabbath, move! Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. We need 4 of these, about that size. Take a guess. Now, scales. I didn't mention scales. This is up to you. I like to do them precise. There's 4 of us. We all want the same size sausage. What can I say? Okay. So I get the whole lot. And you bung it on there. And what does it weigh? 544. So here's the fun. 4 into 544 is what? 114, 116. Probably 104 grams. No, that's not right. 140 grams?
No, that would be too much, wouldn't it?
1 with 1 left over. Yeah, 140 grams.
Okay, yep. I can't math.
Okay, so, oh, bonus, 140. Okay, for some reason this is 8. Reading 8. And she falls off. 140. As you can see, I'm getting a lot of pinto beans, well, analyzed beans or whatever, everywhere. Yes, you make a bit of a mess. That's why we have Sabbath. Okay, that's a little bit less. I'm sort of splitting hairs here a bit. Bit from that. Bit from that. Okay, there we go. We've got our 4 packages. We're going to make a sausage. They're big sausages, by the way. Think about it. 140 grams. How much protein you're supposed to have? Or, you know, if you have that other stuff, they say about 100 grams. So this is already bigger. The girls, I'll call them the girls, my kids, but they're not kids. But anyway, the girls, they always say they can manage 2. They don't get past 1. They say 2, so I'll make them all 2. So they'll have 1 tomorrow. So I'm on to this. So there you go. If you want to make it look nicer, you can play with it if you want. I tend not to too much. I don't tend to muck around too much with the Seitan. I've had it all fall apart on me before. So then like that. And like that. See what I mean? Now that's fallen apart a little bit. I don't know why it does that. Maybe if anyone's better at this than me, they can say. Okay, it tends to bind together when it cooks. It's not always good when you're broiling it. See, this is why steaming so much is enough. Okay. And you be good and stick back together. I've never had this recipe fail. So there you go. There's always a first for everything. Okay, next one. See how you get these runs in it? I don't know. It's a bit, can be a bit like mussel. Oh, don't want to say that. But do you know what I mean when you eat it?
Well,
Doesn't it, Sarah?
it makes it a bit fibrous, so
Yeah.
it is a bit, you know, it's meant to be a meat substitute, so it has a few meat characteristics.
Yeah, but you just don't want to think of
It
it.
freaks you out a little bit though.
Yep, that's probably why we keep the beans like we do.
Yeah, I mean, if you've
Yeah.
got beans through something, you know it's not a piece of animal.
Yeah. Much better tasting. I don't know, I know a lot of people have trouble with gluten and I'm so sorry. I don't know how you guys survive. But,
Got to do creative things with soy and nuts and stuff.
I like to use a lot of legumes. And if you can put legumes in something other than just the gluten flour, maybe that's better. I've never tried an alternative to the gluten flour. I don't think you could. Okay, last one. I'll leave it till later. You know, there is so much we do with these. Think pasta dishes, rice dishes, just on the barbecue. Remember, these things burn. I don't know how many times I've burnt myself on my steamer. Like when, this thing is at least probably nearly 10 years old. It is so cool. There we go. 40 minutes. Oh, it dinged. Time to take them out. Sally heard the ding. Yay!
Yay!
Sausages! Yes, I have my other 4 ready to go. Because like I said, everyone says, I can eat 2 of those. And then they don't. They just want one for tomorrow. Okay. So just let me pop these on. I've had to put more water in my steamer, by the way. That's very important to check the water levels as you go. Make sure it's hot. Okay, we thought we'd open one and show you, because it does look a bit different from, and then we're going to fry these. You could slice them and cut up and fry the slices and put them through a pasta. So what do you think? I wish you could smell this. It is the most delightful, and I have named them correctly, Steamy Beany. See that?
Birthday, and the 1st of March, and she had said that she was hoping to do a